If you're shipping lithium batteries, hopefully by now you're well aware of the differences between the regulations for ground shipments versus air shipments. As you probably know, ground shipping of lithium battery is still subject to DOT and international dangerous goods requirements. There are still very specific requirements on packaging, labeling, in some cases documentation, but it is a lot easier to ship a battery by ground than it is by air. And so what I mean by easy, well, there are some pretty generous exceptions in the regulations for small batteries or accepted batteries or low energy batteries. There's a whole bunch of different terms we can use, but for our purposes, let's just think about it as consumer electronic size batteries. Things like laptops, cell phones, tablets, my AirPods, watches, power tools, those types of products are given very generous exceptions when they're moving by ground. And so, yes, there are still requirements to package them securely and put a lithium battery mark on the box. But for the most part, there's no requirement to have a Class 9 label. There's no requirement to have official training. There's no requirement to fill out any sort of regulated shipping papers. So that makes it easy. Air is a different world. Yes, there are some exceptions by air, specifically when you're shipping these consumer electronic sized batteries, when they're contained in equipment or packed with equipment, there are some decent exceptions. But for the most part, air shipments is more tightly controlled. For air shipments, especially, let's just use standalone batteries as an example. So standalone batteries, when you're shipping a battery by itself without the equipment it powers. So think of a power bank or just a spare power drill battery. That would be considered a standalone battery shipment. If I'm shipping my power drill battery by ground, securely place it in the box, make sure you're preventing it from short circuit, completely enclose the battery. On the outside of the package, you're going to have the UN3480 lithium battery mark, and then another mark, either the forbidden mark we call it, or the cargo aircraft only label on the outside of the package, and that's it. Get it on its way, get it out the door, nothing else is required. That same power drill battery going by air now needs not only the UN3480 lithium battery mark, but let's see what else does it need. It needs a hazard class 9 label. It needs the cargo aircraft only label. It needs the mark that reads UN3480 lithium ion batteries. It needs to be at a state of charge not exceeding 30% of its rated capacity, and it needs a regulated shipping paper. There's a lot of differences between ground and air. Air, you have to jump through 10 hoops, whereas ground you have to jump through 2. So where people get in trouble, very, very straightforward. And this happens, unfortunately, a lot. And this is how you end up with enforcement cases. And it's so simple. Let's just use our power drill battery because that's what we've been talking about. Somebody ships you the power drill battery. It's coming from the supplier. It goes to you by ground, goes on a truck, gets to you. Great. Now you have the battery. Okay, the battery's sitting on your shelf in the warehouse. Now somebody, in Spain orders it, and now you need to ship it by air. I've seen many companies that say, well, this is a dangerous good item. It's got a lithium battery mark on it. So I'm just going to grab that package off the shelf and reship it on an aircraft. That package is going to be rejected 10 times out of 10 because it does not have the required marks or labels. It does not have the required shipping paperwork. And we also don't know what the state of charge of the battery is. So that package is going to get to a FedEx or a UPS sort center. The agent at the sort center is going to do what we call an acceptance check. You can go online and Google the acceptance check. It's a long checklist to show that every little detail is exactly how it needs to be in terms of regulatory requirements. So they're going to go through, they're going to pick up the package, and the checklist is going to say, did it have the Class 9 label on there? Nope. Did it have the state of charge? Nope. And so that's going to be rejected by the air carrier. It's going to get put off to the side because they can't move it further in transport. And that is how FAA inspectors often target shippers, is they'll go to a sort center and look at all the packages that were rejected and just collect the shipper information, the name and the address of the person that sent it, and then go knock on their door for some type of inspection and ultimately enforcement case. So you need to be aware for lithium batteries as well as other dangerous goods that if a product moves to you by ground, do not assume that that same product is in compliance for an air shipment. They are apples and oranges. And a simple mistake like putting that spare battery that was compliant for ground, putting it on an aircraft, not only is it a safety risk, which we all understand, but With air enforcement, especially these days, their target on lithium batteries, because lithium batteries are a major safety risk, the likelihood of that package being stopped and found and, generating some type of interest from the inspectors is very high. This is something that we see a lot of people fall into that trap, is just assuming that because the supplier sent it to you, that you're then able to turn around and send it by whatever mode of transport that you want. Be careful with these things, because I know from experience that exact situation has happened many, many times, and that's how companies are going to get pulled into enforcement cases. The other major difference, so there are a lot of differences. One of the ones that I would like to highlight, though, is for air transport, there are state of charge limits for lithium-ion batteries. At least as of today, there are no requirements that you limit your state of charge when you're shipping lithium-ion batteries by highway, rail, and ocean. With that said, there may be some individual private carriers that want you to reduce the state of charge, but it is not a regulatory requirement. And so for the state of charge, in case you were wondering, it's going to be applicable to rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. And the state of charge is really just a safety factor. If you think of the hazards of a lithium battery as thermal runaway, where it's an uncontrolled release of energy. Oftentimes you get flame, you get fragment, you get off gas. It can be pretty nasty. If you think about a thermal runaway event as uncontrolled release of energy, if there's more energy in the system, the reaction is worse. And this has been demonstrated many, many times through testing, that the same battery at 100% state of charge is going to look a lot worse in terms of failure than the battery at 50% or 30%. So when the regulators kind of came up with this state of charge restriction, they set it to 30% to say, hopefully 30% is low enough that yes, a battery could still fail. Yes, a battery could still go into thermal runaway. But hopefully energy in the system is low enough that the fire or the heat created from that one battery will not propagate to another battery in the same package or even ignite the packaging materials itself. It's not a perfect system, we know, but state of charge is that extra safety factor. And when you're working in a battery supply chain, you need to be aware of the state of charge rules, because like I said, for ground transport, for ocean transport, you can ship at 100%. Not necessarily recommending that, the lower the better, within reason, of course. But for air transport, it's not a recommendation. This is something that if you're shipping standalone batteries or batteries packed with equipment, the state of charge must be less than 30%. I'm guessing for most that are watching this that do ship lithium-ion batteries, you're probably aware of state of charge limits, because for standalone batteries, when you're shipping the battery by itself, those restrictions actually were adopted in early 2016. So it's been 10 years. What you might not know is in early 2026, so 5 months ago, the regulations were updated to mandate for the first time ever that lithium-ion batteries packed with the equipment they operate must be at a state of charge not exceeding 30%. For the time being, lithium-ion batteries contained in equipment where the battery is installed into the device like a laptop, that it is right now a recommendation that the battery be kept at less than 30%, but not quite yet a requirement. If it will become a requirement, not sure. That may be something that happens down the line, remains to be seen, but at least for now, if it's a standalone or packed with, you need to keep that 30% state of charge to less than 30. So on the ground side, similar to what we had mentioned previously about labeling and documentation, for ground transport, somebody can ship you cells and batteries at 100% state of charge. Then if you go and turn that around to ship it by air, you are now out of compliance. Right? So if you don't have a way to get the state of charge to less than 30%, that's opening the door certainly for some enforcement activity. The other thing with state of charge is, depending on the size of the battery, it's not just a magic snap your fingers and all the energy goes away. If you are working with large format batteries and they come to you at 100% state of charge, it can take a lot of effort and a lot of time to reduce the energy in that pack down to 30%. Adding on top of that, some batteries that you get, you might not know the state of charge. Some batteries might have like a little indicator light or an LED display that tells you the state of charge, but a lot of batteries don't have that information. And so if you're looking at a battery on your desk there's not really a way to tell the state of charge on that thing. So when you're looking from the supply chain side, what you'll notice is oftentimes companies are requiring their suppliers to ship them batteries at less than 30%, so they know when they receive them, they can go and ship those out the door without charging them. They will be in compliance. So when you're looking for air transport, ground transport, I guess the last thing I would mention is anytime you're shipping hazmat by air, it's always strongly encouraged that you take a few deep breaths, double, triple, quadruple check how you're doing things, because the air rules always more restrictive. There's way more government oversight on packages, like we had talked about earlier. If you mess up a package for an air shipment, it's pretty likely to get caught. And then there's just kind of the safety factor and the risk factor of air transport. A battery going to thermal runaway on a truck is a bad day. It sucks. But a battery going to thermal runaway on an aircraft, now you're looking at catastrophic and tragic outcomes, which is why from the air network, you're going to see a lot more restrictions in place, a lot more government oversight to ensure shippers are meeting the required safety rules.